In today's video I'm gonna show you how you can turn on your 3D printer and control it with a Raspberry Pi and the Raspberry Pi camera. I work on a lot of different projects that require prototypes, so I have to use my 3D printer right here quite often. That means I have to get up, walk to the printer, turn it on, preheat it, get back to my PC, slice the model, export it to code on an SD card, walk back to my 3D printer, plug the SD card in and print it out. And that's a lot of steps for just printing a simple part. So I want to make that simpler. And honestly, solving this problem has been on my to-do list for quite a while now. Lately I was looking through my components and I found my Raspberry Pi 2B, which is perfect for this job. So what should my system be able to do? I want to start and stop the printing process remotely, and therefore I'm obviously going to use the Raspberry Pi and its internet connection feature. Then I want to see the printing process. I want to see it in the program virtually and I want to see it in real life, which leads us to the next feature, making time lapses. So I got this little Raspberry Pi camera right here, which just plugs into the board and lets you take pictures and video of your print. Then I want to turn on and off the printer remotely, and therefore I'm going to use a solid state relay such as this one right here. I already used one of these in my RefrowPlate project, so check it out if you haven't already. So to start, we will need the Raspberry Pi imager, and we can download that for free from this website right here, and you will find the link to this in the video description. After we download it, we install it and open it, and it will look like that. So next we have to choose an OS, so we click on choose OS and scroll down to other specific purpose OS. And here we click 3D printing, and tada, here is Octoprint. So we click on that and we say Octopi stable, we want a stable version, and the OS is selected. Next we have to select a drive, so the SD card that is going to be plugged into the Raspberry Pi. So now we can plug it into our PC and we click on search device, and here I see my SD card. It gets 16 gigabytes, here is 15.6, so I know that that's fine. It's important to know that everything that is on the SD card right now will be deleted, so make sure that it's an SD card you don't need. Next is a really cool trick, and herefore we click Ctrl, Shift and X, and this menu pops up. Here we activate Enable SSH because we want to use it in our Wi-Fi. So we scroll down a bit, and here we can choose a username and a password. For example, I choose the username Louis and password. Now we click on the Wi-Fi button, and here we have to enter our Wi-Fi name and our Wi-Fi password. Next we have to choose our country code, and since I'm living in Germany, I scroll up until I see DE, and now I click on save. So the Raspberry Pi imager is ready for writing the image, so we click write. And now it asks us to delete everything on the SD card, so we click yes. And this is now going to take a while. So now that everything is ready, you get this message right here, you click OK, and now you can remove the SD card from your PC and plug it into the Raspberry Pi. So here I got the SD card, and I'm gonna plug it into the Pi right here. Plug that in. And since I'm using a rather old Pi, I need a Wi-Fi stick all connected via the network cable. So put a Wi-Fi stick in, and now I connect to power cable right here. I got this cool power cable with the on and off switch, so hit that button, and now you see that there is a red and a green LED at the end, and I wait until the green LED stops lighting up, stops blinking, because that's the boot LED, no, that's the act LED, and we only want to see the red LED. So
Let's wait until that happens and go to PC again.
So now after the green LED stops lighting, we can access the Raspberry Pi by entering http://octopi.local or via the IP address. You can find the IP address in your router menu. I personally cannot access the Pi by using the octopi.local address, so I do it via the router menu. And here under the tab networks, I can see Octopi and the IP address, so I just copy that and open it in a new tab. If you already plugged your Pi into your 3D printer and turn the 3D printer on as well, and you're still not able to access your Pi, this can be caused by the printer backpowering the Raspberry Pi through the USB connection. And to fix that, you will find more information on this article, which you will find in the video description as well. But for now, let's have a look at the setup wizard, which is really easy to use. It's really well done, everything is explained really well, so I won't talk about it too much in detail because you can just do it yourself and set it up as you want. That shouldn't be a problem at all. And here you can see this is Octopi. So let's continue by installing a few plugins. To do that, I click on this little wrench symbol and I go to the plugin manager, and here I click on more, and now I can search for a lot of plugins. Because I want to have cool time lapses, I'm going to install Octo Labs, and I click install. And this is now going to take a while. All the plugins are going to take a couple of minutes to install, so grab a drink, watch some YouTube videos and wait until they are done. So after you installed a plugin, you have to restart your Octoprint. So this message pops up and just click restart now. After Octoprint is restarted, we go ahead and make the same procedure as we did for Octolabs, but this time we want to open the Touch UI, because this will make Octoprint more easy to use on a phone or a tablet, because the interface on a mobile device is a different interface than on your PC. Now install Pretty G-Code, because Octopi shows you a 2D image of your G-code in 2D preview, and Pretty G-Code makes the 3D preview, and that's just easier to use, and you can see what your G-code is going to look like, what your print is going to look like on your print bed from everywhere, and not have to remember what it looked like in your slicer software. So now I install PSU controller, because this gives us the option to turn off and off the printer by using the Octopi software, but I will show you how to do that later on. Now we see the little lightning symbol right here. This is caused by the PSU, but we need more plugins. This time I'm going to install the Exclude region. This gives you the option, if you have stringing problems or multiple prints on a printer and one of them fails, you can exclude this region, so the printer won't send any more G-code, or Octopi won't send any more G-code to the printer that is inside of that region, so you don't have to worry about it ever again, because the printer won't print any more filament there. My printer is running a so-called damaged software. Some printers have this issue, so Octopi cannot communicate with them, but it's fixable by a plugin that's called CBD, and here you see Fix CBD Firmware. Just install that and you won't have any problems. If you connect your printer to your Octopi and it has this damaged software, there is a message showing up in the top left corner. So if this message pops up, just install a Fix CBD firmware. If nothing pops up, don't do so. So the next plugin I'm going to install is Octo Everywhere. This lets us control our Octopi from everywhere we are. So if we are not at home, we can use Octo Everywhere to see what our printer is doing. So when you installed Octo Everywhere and you restart your OctoPi, this little wizard right here pops up, and we just click on complete setup now. This leads us to this website, and here we can create an account or log in. I have to create an account. So I type in my email address, type in a password and say create account. So now I just give the whole thing a name. I call it, let's call it Octo Print, and say finish setup. Now this is successfully set up, so I click on close. And now we can access Octo Everywhere from our smartphone. Now let's quickly set up the PSU. For that, click on the little wrench, scroll down there on PSU controller, and here we set the switching mode to GPIO, and here we choose the pin. Have a look at the pin out of your Raspberry Pi. For example, in my case, I want to use the GPIO pin 3, so that's 18, and I just click save. And now every time I click this little thunder icon here, I can turn on and off the GPIO pin 18, which is going to be connected to the relay later on.
Now that OctoPi is installed, I can proceed with the wiring of the electronics.
The electronics are really simple. I just connect this conventional cable to this solid state relay and then to this wall plug, and it's done. So now that that is done, I put this aside and continue by making the electronics for the little fan and the connection from the solid state relay to the Raspberry Pi. So alright, the Pi is ready. Now I connected the mains voltage to the solid state relay and covered the ends with a little plastic, so nobody is able to touch the mains wire. Now I plug the printer and the printer LEDs into the wall plug, and this USB cable connects the Pi to my 3D printer. So I connect that. I also set up the camera using my little soldering thing. That should work. And now I should be able to print.
So now I'm here in OctoPi, and when I hit this lightning symbol, the printer should turn on. Which it did, so that works. So now I want to connect OctoPi to my slicer software so that I can just upload the G-code directly from the slicer to my printer. And therefore I'll hit a little wrench tool and then say application key, and here I type in super slicer and say generate, and now I got this application key right here. I just copy that and then I open my slicer software. I'm using Super Slicer. I can really recommend this software, it's awesome. And then I go to the printer settings, and here I click this little symbol, and here I can add a printer. So I paste my application key right here. Now I need the domain, which is my IP address, and I paste it in here and I say test, and here you see this message: connecting to Octoprint works correctly. Okay, and okay. And now I'm here in my slicer software, and I want to print this casing for the Raspberry Pi. So I put it in here, and now when I say slice now, I see the time and everything, and now I can export my G-code as I do it usually, or I hit this new icon right here which sends it to the OctoPi. So let's have a look if that works correctly. So I say send, and here it asks me for the name, and I say that it's the default name of my STL file. So I say upload and print. And now it should start printing. Now back in Octolabs, I can see that the printer is heating right here. Here are the set points, and here's how the graph is rising. And I can see it here in my camera. It is positioned really poorly right now, but I will change that later on. For now, it's just important to me to see what the printer is doing. Here in G-Code viewer, I can have a look at the G-Code, so I can have a live view of what the printer is doing. Here in the terminal, I can see the G-code that's sent to the printer, and so I can control the printer from my desk and don't have to touch it at all.
So you just saw the first time lapse, and let's be honest, it doesn't look that great, but we can fix that.
So you just unplug the C-card from your Raspberry Pi and plug it back into your PC. Then you open the C-card and you look for files called octopi.txt. When I have a look at here, it's octopi.txt. And when I open that file, I look for this line right here, hash camera Raspberry Pi options equals, and we replace that by this line, camera Raspberry Pi options equals, it's the same, and then minus x 1920 minus y 180 fps to 20. And it's important that here there is no hash, because the hash sets it to an comment, but we don't want that, so we delete the hash and then it's a line. And what we also have to do is we have to copy, we can just copy that right here, the camera equals Raspberry Pi, and then we scroll up until we find camera equals auto here, and we replace it by camera equals Raspberry, and again no hash, because with a hash it's in common. So, and then we just hit save, and now we can plug the C-card back into our Raspberry Pi and restart it. And now I go back to Octopi and look for the camera, and you can see that it's full HD.
I also 3D printed this mount right here that attaches to my wall and holds all components, so let's quickly install it.
My picture is really sharp, and you can even see the stringing right there. But I'm just using Raspberry Pi camera. So to set the focus of your camera, you just have to turn the little knob at the front of the camera, as you can see here. And with a little bit of fine tuning, you will get a picture as sharp as this one. I also 3D printed this little camera mount right here to hold the camera in place properly. And I extended the camera cable by this long ribbon cable right here. And I also 3D printed a little bracket that covers the mains voltage, so nobody accidentally touches the mains voltage, and this little bracket right here that holds the cable in place, so nobody can accidentally rip out the cable. So here it's safe and nobody is in danger.
And that brings us to the end of this video. Now I don't have to move a single finger to turn on my printer and print my parts, and I think that's pretty cool. If you think that you did, feel free to like, share and subscribe. Here more videos, here you can have my channel, so have a nice day, see you soon.